Good evening, everybody! Welcome to round 14 of International Sim Racing Organization's F1 1991 series, coming to you from Spain, Catalonia. Cars are finishing up their qualifying as usual, and we've got the two championship fighters at the top, Mikola and Miller. And I'm joined in the booth by two people you will recognize, everyone's favorite Spanish color commentator, Alberto Ibañez, and the latest Lotus recruit, Jonathan Asserclint. Gentlemen, how are you?
Hello, Jason. We're fine. Pleased to be here. Also, my home circuit this time, so it's going to be
That's right.
a nice race to watch because I lived actually in striking distance of this track some years ago.
And hello, Jason and Alberto and everyone else. Yeah, really looking forward to this one. Should be a very interesting race with a lot of good racing ahead.
Have you been getting the handle of that Lotus, Jonathan?
Yeah, I've been getting a little bit of help from a few fellow competitors and a few pointers, and yeah, I'm fairly happy with where the Lotus is tonight. Obviously, a bit of a sitting duck down the straight, and the dirty air will probably be a downfall both for me and many others, but should be a good race for the long run, so and a good car for the long run, so should be good.
All right, so the warm-up is starting now, and for those of you who are curious, it appears that Pascal secured the pole, but on the outside was Dave Miller, and that's going to be very interesting for this race, obviously, because Pascal leads in the points. Dave is the nearest challenger. Not the only one with a mathematical shot. The other one would be David Jakes. But I believe that's how they finished up. We'll be able to confirm that when we go to the race session. But let's have a look real quickly at the point standings as they are at this moment. After 13 rounds, Pascal Mikola is in front with 63 points. Dave Miller in second with 48 points. Dave Jakes is in third with 37. Those are the three that are mathematically capable of winning the championship as of now. In fourth is Gabriel Del Piccola with 30 points, and Richard Coxon is in fifth with 28 points. That still just staggers the imagination for me that he's still in fifth place after leaving the series so long ago. I think that speaks to how good of a start he had in the series. Looking at the Constructors Championship situation, Braun Tyrrell Honda is on top right now with 65 points. Scuderia Italia second with 54. Cannon Williams team is third with 40... Sorry, hang on one second. With 48 points. Minardi team is fourth with 44. And then Motor Racing Developments, also known as Brabham, is fifth with 41 points. The track itself, as Alberto mentioned, this is his home circuit, Circuit de Catalunya. 2.95 miles around, and we'll be going for 65 laps or 2 hours, whichever comes first. I'm guessing the 65 laps will come first. Tell us about this track, Alberto. What kind of challenges will it present for our drivers today?
Well, the circuit of Catalonia is actually a very modern one. I mean, not obviously of the German Tilke generation, but it was one of the new venues that entered the Formula One Championship in the 90s. It was created in the wake of the effort in Barcelona for the Olympic Games, if you remember. And it was created as a track that was intended to be very open, very wide, high speed, and it showed back then. It's a nice track. It's a track that drivers usually love. They enjoy the driving on the open spaces and also the very high-speed turns. There's going to be a lot of tire wear in some of the turns because you will see there are many of them which require a lot of aerodynamic downforce to be able to really extract the most of the speed of it, especially after the long straight and right before that main straight. But in the end, even if they took all the careful design possible choices, in the end it didn't result as good as they really intended it to be, because it is a track where overtaking can always happen in the very long straight, that's for sure, But the rest of the track that was actually also a bit modified in the later years, it doesn't suit itself so much to the overtaking. It's a bit like the Estory situation that we already noted in the previous race. But anyway, as I said, there's always going to be that very long straight here that is very good for overtaking, and the very quick cars, they will be certainly making good use of it. The problem with it is that the two turns that lead to that straight, they require a lot of speed, a lot of downforce, and if you're not close enough to the other car, you're not going to be able to overtake. But if you are close enough and you're pushing the car, you're going to overheat your tires. So it could very well happen. We will see that over the race, that someone is able to overtake only to be overtaken in the next combo of turns right after that main straight, because again they require a lot of stress on the tires, and if they haven't cooled down enough, we will see a situation where the driver is possibly unable to defend the position. Other than that, it's a track where the heaviest cars will need also to be careful with the brake wear. That goes for the Brabhams and the McLarens. And we should be seeing about one stop in this race. That's a strategy that most people will do, although depending on the tire wear and the choices that they have taken for the aerodynamics, we could see eventually two stops for people that choose softer compounds in cars that are lighter.
And for you, Jonathan, what is your experience on this track so far, driving the Lotus, as we see Saber having a bit of an off as he's practicing here?
What I found is that, as Alberto says, the aero is very important to a quick lap around here. I've also found that there are a few bumps that you don't really see when you're going around at more pedestrian speed, but when you really push the envelope, you have a few bumps on the exit of corners here that is very, very scary if you hit them the wrong way or if you're taking too many liberties. And also, as Alberto says, taking positions away on this track will be very difficult. I could foresee it being very similar to how it was at Mexico back in round 7 or 8, where if you got a good run onto the straight, then you will be able to take positions, but elsewhere, as Alberto's mentioned already, it'll be a bit more of a tricky composition.
For those of us who put a lot of stock in the warm-up, Dave Miller has just set the fastest time so far in the warm-up session at a time of 1 minute 29.051. Riding on board with him now. So it looks like he's got that Williams in excellent form, and there's one of the more tricky turns he just went through there. Kind of a right-left switchback that you can take very quickly, but if you get that wrong, you're in big trouble.
And there's very little room for errors in that section of the track,
Yes.
that's for sure.
Yeah, I would think so. Coming through the final turn now. And we can go for a flying lap. Or one more turn, sorry. I was a bit early. So, let's watch what happens here. Coming off the final turn, here comes Dave Miller. Down the front straight to start one lap of Catalonia. Into the first turn here. This is a right-hander. And how you thread the needle through here is definitely going to determine how quickly you exit right here. I was talking to Jonathan before we went live, and I told him this track seems to me like if Estoril and Jarama had a baby. I don't know if that makes much sense to either of you, but
It does. Probably the landscape is also quite similar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also because of the style of the track, as we have mentioned. It was intended to have a long straight and then a series of winding corners. That's what you get here. But as you see, the car is constantly forcing the tires, is constantly setting on the corner.
Yeah.
All the time. You can almost feel how hard it's banging there on the wheels, leaning on them in the corners. It's very stressful for the tires, especially in the high-speed ones.
Well, that'll be a storyline that we can watch throughout the race. That, you know, tires have got to be something you have to look after. You can't just go bonsai and expect to have an even handling stint throughout the race. But here's Dave coming off the final
this
turn.
combo of the two last corners, as we mentioned, look, this puts a lot of stress on the tire. You gotta watch it here because many people will be eager to be following the other car here to have a good run on the main straight, and between the lack of aerodynamic downforce because of the aero effects of the car in front and the stress you have to put on the tires, it wouldn't surprise me much if we see many of them understeering into the safety zone.
Yeah, Jonathan had mentioned earlier the dirty air problem at this track is considerable, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, we have a graphic to show you here that basically charts the progress of our top 3 drivers during the course of the series. It does it in a graphic sense. It looks like someone climbing a mountain, but here you go. Shows graphically how they got to where they are. All 3 of these drivers staggered out of the gate. They didn't score any points in the first round. But then Dave Miller started to assert himself. It's right when you get to the middle of the run of races that you see Mikola assert dominance. It was only like, there's only a couple of spots there where you see a stutter step. The first one is Mexico, where him and Miller are about even with points, and then you see how it progresses from that point on. Jakes has actually had a fairly consistent performance throughout the series, but it's just consistent in the sense that it's usually third places or fourth places. So, in any case, there you go. There's a graphic that should help to describe how we got where we are in a visual sense. If you're like me, you respond to visuals more than numbers. So there you go. So with about 20 minutes to go, and Miller is still on top here, and I think it's very notable that Pascal has not come out to do any laps. You think he's just being cagey, or is he confident the car is ready to go?
I've seen him out on track, but he's mainly, when I saw him, he was trying to pit entry, make sure he's got that sorted out. Because that's another tricky bit of this track. The pit entry is very, very fast and very, very narrow. As I'm heading into the pits, if you want to jump on board with me, you can have a look at it in real time. P9.
There you are. Ooh, ooh. That looked rather perilous.
I was avoiding the inside wall and drifted on the outside instead.
At least it's a nice wide pit lane.
Mm-hmm. Once you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is getting there in the first place, it seems.
All right, well, while we have a moment here, we're going to pause for a commercial break. We're looking forward to a really exciting race today and possibly the crowning of a champion, so don't anybody change that dial. I just dated myself horribly. But we will be right back after these messages. Don't go away.
One manufacturer has more NASCAR victories than anyone. More NHRA Pro Stock victories than anyone. More consecutive IMSA GTO victories at Daytona than anyone. And more off-road victories in the last 5 years than anyone. That manufacturer is Ford. No wonder nobody enjoys the weekend like Ford.
For some people, the best thing about the morning is that it's over by the afternoon. So the Braun Shaver is quiet to soothe the soul. It's curved to comfortably fit the face, with 3 shaving positions to cut, groom, and trim with superb results. Braun, a state-of-the-art shaver that could improve your state of mind. The world's #1 selling foil shaver.
Heads right, heads left, heads up, new heads up 9.6V turbo hopper with heads up steering. The driver's head looks where you turn, and they got 9.6V turbo rechargeable power for extra speed on road or off. Yahoo! Heads up turbo hopper, batteries sold separately.
Power stick antiperspirant. It excels with 50% more odor and wetness fighters per stroke for 24-hour control. mechanics just can't beat. Power Stick, the power that puts you in control.
Cos'è questa cosa qua? Mi sembra una cosa veramente strana.
It's a hot new 35mm camera from Canon.
It's just a camera.
Sembra sospetto.
The Canon Photora.
Camera.
With futuristic flash, automatic one-hand control,
Straordinario.
and long-range power zoom lens. Photora.
You have to come with us.
It's just a camera.
Please.
The new Photora from Canon. So advanced, it's simple.
What do you call a car that out-accelerates a Ferrari Testarossa or a Lotus Esprit? Out-corners a Porsche Carrera. Has been called the affordable Ferrari by Motor Trend and was named one of the world's top 10 performance car values. You call it the Dodge Stealth RT Turbo. Now choose from 4 Stealth models starting at $16,552. Welcome home, America. Advantage Dodge.
With the highest resale value in its class and proven Honda reliability, the Accord truly is a safe place to put your money.
I'll be there in a half an hour. Let me think about it.
The most important safety feature in any car is the driver. That's why we've given the Mazda 929S luxury sedan a patented rear suspension and the security of anti-lock brakes. For a driving experience so relaxing, it lets you make those split-second decisions every luxury car driver needs to make.
I've thought about it. Let's order pizza.
The Mazda 929S.
It just feels right.
Free lifetime service at Oil Changer.
The best chassis lube oil and filter change for the money just got better.
All regular full-service Oil Changer customers get all the services you see for free.
Anytime you want, as often as you want.
Oil Changer. Free service for a change.
Watch carefully. What you are about to see is fast, very fast. When the Pennzoil Special is racing at 230 miles per hour at Indy, its engine needs all the protection it can get. And that's what it gets with Pennzoil. The same straight-off-the-shelf Pennzoil quality that goes in your car. On the road or on the racetrack, nothing performs like Pennzoil, because nothing protects like Pennzoil.
Pennzoil, ever since America learned to drive.
And we're back. So Miller's still on top in the warm-up numbers here. I'm sure that Miller's going to have plenty of people on YouTube cheering for him, most notably Angel May and Barry Lynn Wilson. But it's going to be a really, really exciting first corner, having the two of them start in the front row. No question about it.
Yeah, it's only good that this track is wide enough.
Yeah,
and
we're going to need it.
The escape roads also.
Indeed. All right, so while we have some time, let's take a look at some news items in this race. First of all, Ferrari has shown up with yet another edition of the Tipo engine. This is the 291.6 version with a higher rev limit and more power. Rev limit. 5 extra horsepower, but of course by now I think Ferrari was really pushing the limits of what the engine could do. And the deficiencies were not in the engine so much as the chassis, which is, you cannot say in Maranello. Well, you also probably can't say the engine's deficient either. That would be worse. But
I certainly think the engine would be a far more horrible sin.
Well, you all know what Enzo Ferrari, the commentator, used to say. My cars win the races, my drivers lose them.
Yep. Lovely. The other news item we have to share is Tomas Batusek has joined Motor Racing Developments, or Brabham. So we'll see. It's musical chairs over at Bernie's stable, but we'll see what happens going forward. Bernie wasn't involved with them by then, was he?
Not more than I think he may have had a sharehold in the team still. But
All right.
other than that, I don't think he had much to do with them. Really.
Fair enough. We also have a trivia question for you to ponder. I've been making liberal use of my new wrong sound effect. Hopefully I won't. Hopefully I won't have to use it this time. The trivia question is: which driver scored his one and only Formula One victory in the Spanish Grand Prix at Montjuic Park? Was it A, Gunnar Nilsson, B, Carlos Pache, or C, Jochen Mass? We'll have the answer later on in the broadcast. We're in the twilight days of the 2020 season, but there's still plenty of cool stuff coming up at ISO. In particular, the 15th round of this championship, even if the championship is wrapped up today, there's still 2 more races to go. The Fuji Television Japanese Grand Prix will be on Sunday, November 8th, green light at 2000 CET. I would remind everybody that there is daylight savings time to consider with some of this stuff, so make sure that you are taking that into account when you tune in or take part in the race. I will be broadcasting this one as I have with the other F191 races. Then, on the 15th of November, it's rounds 11 and 12 of the 1974 USAC series. That race at, or series of races at Trenton. The Trenton Times 300. We've talked about this series before. This is one which is basically about wrapped up. Bar the shouting, as Murray Walker used to say. But still, in spite of that, Trenton is a really exciting track, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun for everyone to watch and compete in. And then we also have the final race of this 1991 series, the Foster's Australian Grand Prix, round 16 of 16, Sunday, November 29th, green light at 2000 CET. Yours truly will be broadcasting that one as well. So that's a look at what's coming up here at ISO.
And that Adelaide race is one that I am really looking forward to. That should be a whole heap fun.
Yeah, I've always liked Adelaide. It's a fun track. It's one of the more exciting. Well, maybe exciting is not the right word. It's a street course that I think people actually who are drivers can get excited about, which doesn't often happen.
Also, the fact that it's the older layout, which is, at least for me, a little bit more exciting. Obviously, we lose what is nowadays turn 8, but we do gain a few really fun sections to make up for the loss of that particular turn.
Looking from a chopper shot, well, we were just a second ago, but you can really see and Alberto pointed out before, the elevation change here is pretty amazing going around this track. I guess that's what reminds me of Harama. Is the difference in elevation throughout?
It's very hilly, yes, and the circuit itself is on one of the highest parts of the surroundings, so you are guaranteed to hear the cars running from your home if you're living not too far away from there, which was the case for me, as I've been living there 2 years, very close by in Granollers actually. And well, I could very well hear the cars practicing, and it was a nice way sometimes to wake up in the morning when there were early warm-ups. Not just Formula One, mind you, but also motorcycle races and all kind of stuff, because this is a circuit that it's a great venue. It has great facilities, and it's been used for many different series, touring cars, Grand Tourers, and all the like.
Yeah, I got the impression that this was a circuit that has high-class facilities and could host a variety of championships. So
it's also very well communicated, and well, in Catalonia, the fans, I think, are legendary in that they are very appreciative of motorsports. There is a huge amount of people there who have classic cars and are into mechanics and all that. So it's a great place to race, that's for sure.
All right, so 7 minutes to go here before we head into the race session. Jonathan, I don't know if you want to stay in the booth necessarily. You probably want to focus on your driving, but I believe you have the mute button to lock us out in any case, correct?
I would if I stay, yes.
All right, well, I'll leave that to you. One thing I'd also like to say to our viewers, thanks. Well, first of all, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your tuning in for this race and all the other ones. Obviously, there's a lot on the line today, but it's always great to see such good numbers in the YouTube stream. The other thing I would point out is I'm working with a completely new audio setup today, and those of you who've well, I guess you wouldn't have seen it on the forum because it was all private with the admins, but I've been struggling to get an audio issue fixed, and this is a completely new rig that I'm using today. So if there's anything I need to adjust on the broadcast, or if you think that everything's A-okay, let me know, and then I can react to it. But as far as I can tell from where I'm at, I'm in a good position, and the levels with Alberto and Jonathan are okay, but if anybody says that something needs to go up or down, please let me know, and I'll do my best to accommodate, since we have a little more time left here.
And I think, if you wouldn't mind, could you move me down to the channel with Anderson and David? They are one of the couple of the competitors that has helped me with the stuff, and I would like to go over a couple of last-minute things.
Okay, I'll send you to the Swedish Cabal.
Thank you. So, best of luck to both of you and all our competitors, and I hope all of you watching will enjoy the show.
All right, thanks. Thanks for visiting with us before the race, Jonathan. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so he's off to the Swedish channel.
So, predictions, Jason. We gotta try it once again.
Well, I don't know. So much of what is going to happen is going to depend upon what happens in the first corner. I mean, we could very well see a situation where the race is decided within the first lap or two. I hope that's not the case. I hope we have a clean, straight-up fight between Miller and Pascal. I mean, Miller has got to do his very best to have a shot at the championship. He essentially what's on the line is if Pascal scores 6 points or more in this race, the championship is his. So we'll be keeping an eye on the mathematics.
What position?
6 points. So
yes, but that's what position?
Second.
Viewers?
Second. So
you need second.
If he finishes in second place and Miller scores no points, then he wins. Obviously, if Miller is further up in the points in this race, it means that Pascal will have to win. So, but we'll keep track of the mathematics during the race, so nobody.
The situation is obviously Dave wants to lead, and then have Anders Nilsson, David Jackson, Gabriel Del Piccolo, and Brian Janik, to mention the quickest guys that are up there, and they have actually nothing to lose to be in between him and Pascal. That would be the ideal scenario for Miller. I'm going to pick for this race. Let's go with Anders Nilsson, because he's now in that very powerful and great Benetton Ford car. So I'm going to bet my money on him. Let's see. Who do you pick?
I pick Dave Miller. I think he's the guy who rises to the occasion and is going to do well. And I think the fact that Nilsson is coming on really strong and has little to lose, I think is going to... oh, goodness. Adam just had a really big off. I think the fact that Nilsson is kind of the X factor in this situation is going to trip up Mikola. That's my personal prediction.
Yeah, I think you and me are both betting also on Mikola not getting the red mist. I mean, he has a lot to lose and not that much to win here, but by getting mixed in fights. So with in other situations, we should be otherwise betting that Pascal would never let anyone go past. But in this case, he's not the safest bet for the win, because he's going to play it cool. That's what he really needs to do if he wants to wrap up the championship.
Yeah, but as you and I both know, and it's not just a situation that Pascal has been in before. It's a lot of us. You know, you get into this situation where the red mist takes over, and next thing you know, you've thrown away a lot of hard work. So, I mean, anybody is susceptible to it. I don't care who you are. Well, maybe if your name's Nicky Lauda, you're not susceptible to it, but anybody else, I think you definitely are. Okay, 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go until the Spanish Grand Prix.
It's interesting to see that so far the warm-up times, they are very much in favor of Dave Miller. It would seem to me that if he's able to get the run to turn one and overtake Pascal, he's going to kiss goodbye to everybody, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be, we're going to have eagle eyes on the start here because I think there's going to be a lot of action. Yeah, Nilsson's not going to want to repeat the situation that occurred at Estoril. He's not going to want to get ahead of Mikkola and then have some kind of incident occur. Like he had that, I think it was in the second turn at Estoril, and I think it was like washout when he was coming up on a lap car. So he may soft pedal it a little bit more this time. I don't know. We'll see.
So drivers have been briefed now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Always important to listen to the briefing and take it seriously because there could be some piece of information that you've missed in the forum, and you want to make sure that you have all that stuff accounted for. Riding on board right now with Ray Rudall, who's driving Piro's Delara, and you see K.O. McKeel's just ahead. K.O. was practicing yesterday on his live channel. I know that he's hoping for a good result today. We'll see what happens. There's a yellow flag. It looks like yellow flags might be prevalent coming down the main straight because of the proximity of the pit lane. We'll have to keep that in mind during the race so we don't overreact every single time we see a yellow flag on the straightaway. All right, clock's at all zeros, so we should be going to the race session momentarily. Great to have all of you with us. We look forward to a great race. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of stuff going on planning for 2021. We're going to be doing a podcast eventually to describe some of that, but I know Alberto's very excited. I'm very excited.
We've actually already prepared the announcement of the season,
yes.
and it will be coming in some weeks.
That's true. I've seen it, and yeah, I cannot wait to see the reaction. We're really excited. All right, heading to the race session now. 65 laps are on the board. And yes, Pascal Mikkola is indeed on the pole. And Dave Miller is in second. So get ready for fireworks, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait a moment, as Mike Olson has been kicked from the game.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's something. It's a weird mismatch. He had not had it so far.
Are we going to restart the warm-up for him?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that would only be fair. All right, so we'll give a few minutes here for Mike to get back onto the server.
So unfortunately, it seems that Mike will have to sit the race out due to technical issues.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. I'm really sorry for that, but
I
these
believe
things,
Steve,
when they happen last minute, it's impossible to fix it.
I believe Steve Parker's also been having issues like this, so yeah. But these things happen. Gremlins strike, especially with computers. You never know. All right, so that's too bad for Mike, but here we go with the race. Once again, 65 laps or 2 hours. We're thinking the 65 laps will come first. I don't think we've had any races limited by time this year, maybe one. But here's Pascal onto the grid now, so once the cars roll away, we will go through the grid for you. We talked a lot about the tire wear that's existent here. Also, another thing, the brakes are going to be a big problem here. Juha mentioned to us before the race that he's using full ducting on his brakes because they don't have a lot of time to cool down. So,
yes, as I mentioned, it will be a problem for the heavier cars, mostly.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yep. All right, off we go. On the parade lap, on the pole, is the championship leader, Pascal Mikola, hoping that he can wrap it up today. In second, Dave Miller, his challenger, in the Williams-Renault FW14. Third, Anders Nilsson, the X Factor in this mix. Does not have the capability to win the championship, but is very fast and may prove to be a spoiler in some way. We'll see. Fourth, David Jakes, the other driver that is capable of winning the championship. It's a long shot, but you can bet that he's going to give it everything he has. Fifth is Gabriel Del Piccolo, Jordan Ford, J191. Sixth is Brian Janik in his Minardi Ferrari. Seventh is the other Jordan, driven by Tim Hilla. Eighth, David Saber, Scuderia Ferrari 643. Ninth is Vadim Tysiak, Minardi Ferrari M191. 10th, Ray Radal, Delara Judd D191. 11th, Juha Boss, McLaren Honda MP4/6. 12th, Johnny Aces in his Lotus Judd 102B. A much better qualifying result for him this time. We'll see how the race goes for him. 13th, Adam Hackman, Benetton Ford B191. 14th, Little Al in his McLaren Honda MP4/6. 15th, David Gunt picking up the LaRousse Ford for this round as a one-off, and his teammate for this race, John Team, right behind him in 16th. 17th, Cesarius Lipinski, Brabham Yamaha BT60Y. 18th, Bruno Chacon in the other Williams. 19th, K.O. Michiels in the Ligier Lamborghini. 20th, Tomas Matusek in the other Brabham Yamaha. 21st, Jules Bouchard in the lone Leighton House. I believe Wilkes has withdrawn from the series. 22nd, Porfirio Santos in his Footwork Heart. And rounding out the field, Steve Parker in the other Lotus Judd. So apparently Steve got his issues sorted, whatever they were. So that's your grid.
It's good to see him back in the grid. So they're threading now through the SS section in the back part of the circuit. As you can see, the field is very much stretched. This is important that they need to group a bit, because otherwise the cars in the front, they will be sitting for too long in the grid, and we have seen already how much trouble that gives. If you're using a high camera from any car that is still on the hills, you will see, and it's very well recreated here, how high the circuit sits, and in the distance you can see actually the many cities and villages that are around it.
All right, the drivers are now pulling up to the grid, and Pascal did a good job of slowing right down so that they could pack up. So hopefully they won't be on the grid for too long. Pascal Mikola, what?
Bouchard nearly had a full spin there trying to warm the tires.
Oh, goodness. That always concerns me, is warming the tires.
Yeah. Fortunately, everybody's made it safely, and we're about to start.
Okay, Pascal on the right, Dave Miller on the left. Watch the lights. When they go out, we'll be underway. And the race is underway. Excellent getaway by Pascal Mikola. He's moving towards the middle. Ooh, squeezed a little bit there as Miller, but Miller comes up the inside, and Dave Miller takes the lead. Going into the first turn, Mikola is second. Nilsson is third, so Miller has had the start that he wanted, but look at Pascal coming back on the outside, and he takes the lead right back. My goodness, so already Exciting action here at Catalonia. Mikola leads. Miller is in second. Nilsson is in third, and it appears that we have a minority in fourth place. That's Vadim Tesiak. He hasn't been up very far in the standings in this series
and
so
there's
far.
a car in descent now. That's David Saber with the Ferrari. Fortunately, he makes it to in contact there between Little Al.
Tim Hillett out of the race. Oh my goodness, lots of drama going on at the back of the grid here.
Now Little Al makes it by Juha Boss because Juha was also in descent. John Tim made contact with Little Al and is without the front wing.
Saber has got some issues with his car. He's got, it looks like either suspension damage or a flat tire, one or the other. So very unfortunate.
Tim Hill is out of the race.
Yes.
It's a pity because they made it. Everybody made it safely through turn
Yeah, there
one,
were no crashes or anything. All right, so coming off of the second to last turn and now into the main straightaway area, Pascal Mikola leads the Spanish Grand Prix. Dave Miller in second, and look at this, he's tucked right up behind. He's going to make a move. He's going to try to go for the lead, and he's got it again. Miller takes the lead. Going into the first turn, Mikola in second. Let's see if Mikola can counterattack this time. He cannot. Miller goes up into the lead. Mikola drops to second. Fantastic action so far.
So John Tim is in the pits for a new front wing. Saber is still struggling, but now nearly at the pit entry. Is about to make it finally in. Fortunately for him, it was a safe lap, as the cars were still far from him on the lead. And yeah, there's Miller now in the lead with Pascal right behind him. And if Miller has a good rhythm, I think that Pascal will be happy to simply stay there behind him.
Yeah, this is definitely showing that Miller has got a car that's set up well for this race, but Pascal definitely looks like he's handling well in the turns. We'll see how this develops, but I think Pascal's very wise to not engage Miller right now. It's not a strategy that's probably very wise given where he is in the championship. Coming off the turn one more time. Starting lap number 3 now. Miller in the lead. Mikola in second. Nilsson struggling to hold on now to these cars. Doesn't appear to have the legs in this situation to catch up, but you can see there that it looks like Vadim Tesiak has fallen back a bit. Yes, Vadim is now in 6th. His teammate Janik is in 7th. David Yunt is 8th. 9th is Ray Rodal. 10th, Adam Hackman. Schlapinski about to be challenged by Juha Boss coming down the straight, and there's Little Al as well. So yeah, it appears that everyone's kept it really clean, which is great to see in the opening laps. It'll ensure us some good action throughout the field. And look at Mikola. He's not letting Miller get away. He wants to stay right with him as much as he can. Meanwhile, Nilsson is in a very solid third place, meaning there's space in front of him and space behind him. Jakes is in 4th.
Whoa, Little Al just made contact with Cesaris.
Oh, goodness. Look out.
Yeah, probably went too hot into the turn.
He's gathering it up right now, trying to get back into a consistent form, and we're riding on board now with Jonathan Asserklinth as he follows Little Al. Very impressed with how much Jonathan was able to learn about this Lotus in such a short period of time, because the race he had last time out was not very good. But whatever he was dealing with, he probably took some time, practiced offline and then online, and figured it out. But you can see, yes, Little Al just ahead of Johnny Aces, with Lipinski just a little further up the road.
Out of the track now.
Uh-oh.
He apparently missed the braking point, but I'm not sure if he has killed the engine. No, the engine is still running, but he's not moving, not willing to go into the track.
There he is. Yeah, we just saw him go as we went by. Bouchard having an incident there, so I don't know, it may be that he's just caught in the sand and he's having a difficult time getting out.
One of the tires is in the tarmac. I'm not sure what he's doing, because the
oh goodness, Juha Boss has just spun in the area between turns 1 and 2. Looks like he's able to get going again, yes, but he's dropped down to 14th place. So goodness, already we have one spinner in that area. It'll be interesting to see how much more action we have there, because as you pointed out, brakes and tires are definitely going to be put to the absolute most stringent of tests today.
So what happened with Bouchard is that he was waiting to cross the track because the pit entrance was right in front of him.
Oh my goodness!
He had been waiting.
We've got a development that's happened here that we missed because we were looking at Jonathan. It appears that Mikkel dropped to third.
He has, yes.
Yeah, so apparently he had some kind of an incident of some kind. I can't imagine that it was I can't imagine that it was something that Nilsson did, because Nilsson was pretty far behind. Well, this happened a while ago. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it.
And Brian Janik has also overtaken Vadim Tasiak so far, with Brian Riddle getting now close.
Yeah, it happened a while ago, so I'm gonna stick with the action as happening now, just so we don't miss anything else.
And on the back, there's also Little Al trying to overtake Cesarius, who is with the Brabham all over the place. There you go in the main straight. That's the Honda power for you. Little Al made it through.
Miller continuing to lead. Nilsson in second. Mikkola third, and he's closing back in. Jakes and Del Piccolo look like they're going to start having a good battle here. Brian Janik beginning to assert himself. Vadim Tasiak. Ray Radal. This switchback right here that Miller is going through right now is very challenging. It's easy to get it all wrong.
To me that Pascal is getting close to Nilsson. Not too quickly, but he's certainly crawling back to him. It's Del Piccolo who is now putting a lot of pressure on David Jakes.
You can see how unstable the cars are coming out of that switchback. Miller into the stadium section again, and he's got a Ferrari in front of him here that he's going to have to lap, but I doubt it's going to be too big of a problem. You can see, Nilsson, this is a dream scenario right now for Miller, because he's got a car between himself and Mikkola, and it's not just any car, it's the car of Anders Nilsson, a guy who's been very quick, and he has no incentive to just simply say, "Go right ahead, sir," to Mikkola. He's gonna do his best to drive as well as he can. He wants to have a good finish to the 2020 season at ISO. So let's see how Miller does. He's got a car in the form of, I believe this is David Saber after his pit stop to repair whatever was broken. We'll see if I'm sure he's.
Meanwhile, Johnny Aces has made it past Cesarius Lapinski. And John Tim has quit the race.
Oh, jeez.
Apparently, there was too much damage in the car. Oh my goodness! And Cesarius just made an overtake on the gravel on the inside to a lap car. That was funny to see, with the Formula One completely on the.
Del Piccolo has just gotten ahead of Jakes. That looks like an excellent scrap right now between these two.
Yeah, lots of action on the track right now. It's hard to tell on which one to concentrate.
Riding on board with Jakes now as he follows Del Piccolo. He might have a shot at him on the straight here as they come around. I talked to Jakes before the race. He was like, you may as well spend more time on Miller than you spend on me. And I'm like, hey, mathematics says you've got a shot, so I'm going to show you on the TV machine. And here he goes now on the outside of Del Piccolo, thinking about the next corner there. As he goes on the outside, he wants to be in the right line going in, but Del Piccolo late braking there. Oh, it just runs out of room. But I like the strategy that Jakes was employing there. He was trying to be on the outside so that he could be on the inside for the next turn. That was a smart way of doing it, but look at this. He's going to attack again up the inside, but no. Del Piccolo has him covered there. But yeah, this is one of the best battles on the circuit right now. So we expect one stop for tires, and I'm guessing, what compound do you think people are running in this race? I'm guessing the Ds.
I think the heavier cars, they are running between hards and mediums, but it's probable that some of the lighter ones can get away with mediums and softs. It depends also on how many stops you want to do.
Del Piccolo pulling out a little bit of room here. That Judd, it's had some upgrades through the year, but not enough to really make it a spectacular performer. See if Jakes can pull the same trick he did last time. I doubt it, because what really led to it was Del Piccolo's slow exit off this corner. Okay, he has a better exit there this time, so yeah, he's going to streak away a little bit. So this is cooling off just a little bit. And Mikola's dropped a little bit further back from Nilsson, so yeah, Nilsson definitely has an excellent car for this race. No question. Ślepinski is dropping down the order and is out of the race. That is unfortunate. Let's see if we can pick up what happened.
I think the car got damaged because it was all over the place. It was completely unstable.
Here he is, coming through that really fast switchback, and that's probably where it happens. Yes, he had an oversteer moment there, couldn't catch it, and went straight into the barrier. That's too bad. So that's Ślepinski out of the race. So the Brabham stable is going to have to depend upon Matusek, who is currently running in 16th place. I believe this is his first race for the Middlebridge team. Thank you to the YouTube faithful for pointing out to us that Bernie indeed was not involved in this team by this point. Here he is coming down the straight, and he's trying to catch up to K.O. McKeels, and you can see also just in the background there, one of the Lotai, Parker, who really lights up the tires going in there. I think Steve is anxious to do well, considering all the hurdles he had to overcome just to get in this race.
There's also a nice scrape between fellow admins and friends, Johnny Aces and Juha Boss, because Juha, who had an incident before and dropped down the order, is now following our friend Jonathan around, and he's trying to get by.
Yep. He's got his teammate behind him, too. So that'll be interesting. Oh, no, actually, sorry, he does not. Little Al is ahead of Johnny Aces, actually, so Johnny Aces is in a McLaren sandwich at the moment. Onto the main straight. You can see that Honda power reeling in Jonathan. Oh my goodness, I think, yeah, here we go. Jonathan said he would be a sitting duck on the straight, and there's the proof. Although, look at this. He holds the outside. He doesn't give way. Excellent. Nice work from Jonathan there. Really nice.
The Lotus is a very light car. The cards that it has to play is very agile, very easy to drive, and also very nimble. It allows him to have a very soft tire, whereas the McLaren is probably the opposite. It's a very heavy car, very powerful, lots of grip, but also putting a lot of stress on the tires. And also at this part of the race, because of the higher fuel consumption with a higher load of fuel and thus of weight. So it's a battle of, like, so to speak, a sumo fighter against a judoka at this point.
The fastest lap of the race was just set a bit ago by Dave Miller, and then it was immediately set seconds later by Anders Nilsson as he crossed the line. So Nilsson, the fastest car in the track at the moment. So Juha just biding his time here will probably take another stab at Jonathan. It'll be interesting to see if he can, if Jonathan can defend himself again in the same manner that he did just a moment ago.
Well, an error by Pascal there when overtaking. He went into the marbles, and that made him go fly off the track and have a small outing in the green. Nothing serious, but he has lost ground to Anders Nilsson.
Here's a replay of what just happened. He's also mixed in with a bunch of lapped cars as this is going on. Goes in the inside of Steve Parker. So far, no issues. Yeah, he ran a bit wide there. Nothing too crazy.
Nilsson is now lapping Thomas Matusek,
Mm-hmm.
who is following Kayo Mikias. They had a battle some laps earlier where Kayo was able to get by. But both seem to be on a very similar pace, and it wouldn't surprise me much. Look at that, Thomas Matusek now right behind him as Kayo left Anders Nilsson by.
Yeah, and Dave Miller's car is getting smaller and smaller from the cockpit of Anders Nilsson, so
the very impressive race pace that Miller has got.
Well, I mean, if you looked at that graph we showed earlier, it clearly shows. Oops! It clearly shows that Miller is in ascendance right now, and things are slowing a bit for Pascal. But knowing Pascal, he's probably going to be charging back up here sooner or later. We'll see. Nilsson exiting the switchback. Here comes Mikkola. And then you have a couple of lap cars in between him and Del Piccolo. That battle between Del Piccolo and Jakes has cooled off for the time being. Steve Parker coming through. And then we have David Saber. Another unfortunate start for the Ferrari team, both in terms of David Saber's off and the fact that Mike Olsen couldn't take the start. Too bad. Interesting that Vadim is, he early on was 4th when he got off the grid, and now he's all the way down to 8th, so not sure what that says about his race pace or what the car is doing, but hopefully he'll be able to claw back up again.
He had a very good start, but then, of course, the Minardi is not the quickest car, and he is about very close, well, rather close to the position where his teammate is Brian Janik. And I would say that thus it's basically telling of the pace of the Minardi. Both teammates are more or less very close together.
Yeah, Janik currently running in 6th, so we'll see if he can have another points finish.
Yeah, it seems that this is not a circuit that would suit the Minardi very much, even if they have the powerful Ferrari engine, but it's obviously a B-series Ferrari, so to speak.
Yeah, they're not getting the premium equipment. I would think they're getting the also rans, or if the faculty at if the staff at Maranello had to pull an all-nighter on an engine, I'm guessing they would do it on one of their own before the Minardi ones.
Yeah, those second engines from a team, they were basically also leased in exchange for the extra information they got testing new parts and things like that. So anyway, I mean, it was obviously good for both parties, as Minardi got a very decent engine, probably better than anything else they could have gotten, and it was good for Ferrari for the additional info to continue improving their own.
So it looks like Jules Bouchard got back going again. You can see there that Del Piccolo is still has a good distance between him and Jakes. Oh, goodness! Oh, no! There's an accident, and another more damage for David Saber. My goodness, we just saw it happen live there, and he is now...
Oh, Steve Parker is also out.
Oh, no. Goodness.
Yes, he suffered some spin coming out of one of the turns. Yeah, he had a spin basically in one of the curves.
Well, and David Saber's out of the race, so apparently that was it. So Maranello once again exits the race. I don't know how many Tifosi there are in the stands here in Catalonia, but they're going to be heading for the exits. My goodness. And Brian Janik is now being challenged by Ray Radal. This should be an interesting matchup.
Ray's having a great pace this race.
Well, Ray's pace has been pretty good when he's had good luck in these cars. He hasn't had too much... I mean, he hasn't had fantastic results all through the series, but if he has a good start, and if the car is set up okay, you can usually depend upon him finishing in the points. And he's just one place out of the points right now, trying to challenge Brian. All right, coming out of the last turn here, we've got, the cars are making a lot of use of these curbings, offline. If they weren't physically there, it would make this track a lot slower, I would think.
Yeah, that's for sure. Everybody's playing with that.
So here's K.O. McHeels, and Brian arrives at him in a bit of an awkward point here. K.O. making the room, and Ray's going to try to sweep around the outside, does so very neatly, so no problem there, but it looks like Janik lost a little bit of time there.
And I'm looking at the lap times, and it's very difficult to tell whether someone is getting close or getting left behind, because the lap times have been very irregular for everybody, including the top three. I guess because also of the lap cars, but in any case, it's really weird. I mean, you can see differences of more than 1 second between one lap and the next one, but since it's the same thing for all the top three, that's the main reason they are still in the same relative positions.
Yeah, I think the cars that are in the front have been encountering lap cars a bit quicker than we thought, and that's what's accounting for some of the accordion effect that we see. It's a bit hard to judge at the moment.
I would say anyway that they have grouped a bit, because Anders is
Mhm.
now 2.8 seconds behind Dave Miller, and the difference was bigger before, and Pascal is 5 seconds, 0.8 behind Dave Miller, which is also not 6 seconds at this moment, but it's also a bit like probably less than it was before. From then on, it's a bigger difference. It's a 6 second gap from Pascal to Gabriele Del Piccolo in fourth position,
Mhm.
and then 2 seconds from Gabriele to David Jakes, which means that Jakes is closing maybe a bit again, although still not in striking distance.
On another note, it's nice to see Adam Hackman having a good race. He's currently running in 9th in the number 19 Michael Schumacher Benetton. He hasn't had the greatest of seasons, at least in this series. He's had some good results over in the USAC series, but nice to see him in the top 10 right now in the Benetton for a change.
Yeah, other than that, the team McLaren is also quite close together. 2 seconds between Little Al and Juha Boss, and since Juha Boss has been having more race pace all the weekend.
Oh, goodness! We just had an off there by David Yunt, who's running in 10th, but he recovered beautifully. If he glanced the wall, it was very slight. But he's running 10th right now, and he's another person that you would definitely think would be ascending through. Looks like he's really struggling with that car, actually.
Yeah, I've seen him suffer a lot from tank slapping. He's a quality driver, and he's the one who quietly makes his way up in the races. But yeah, he's really suffering a lot with this LaRousse. Probably the result of not having the best setup possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right behind him is Little Al, and then comes Juha Boss, who is closing to Little Al, as I was mentioning before.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that David's position is in danger for now. Although he keeps having such incidents, even if he doesn't crash, it could mean that at some point he's caught up with a battle with those two McLarens behind him.
So the gap from Miller to Nilsson right now is just a little under 3 seconds. And if Miller's race pace early on is any indication, I think he's probably in the best position you could think of right now. I mean, I don't think it could be going any better for him.
Right, Riddle now is a bit more distant from Brian Janik. Brian seems to have speed up. This is something that I think Brian Janik masters very well. I've seen him pull it with other drivers in other races, and that's he can be very constant at the rhythm, but he has the ability to all of a sudden make a big change in rhythm and go very quick all of a sudden when he needs it, and that's usually the mark of a very good driver. I mean, not everybody is able to do that change, switch quickly between your reference points for braking, turn entry, and all that, and that makes it very hard to follow him over a long period or a race if you want to fight for him with him for position.
Riding on board here with David Jakes, I think it's really interesting to see Del Piccolo doing so well in the Jordan, and actually Jakes is familiar with the Jordan, albeit in a different platform, an R-Factor, and it was not the easiest car in the world to drive, so I think it says a lot about, I mean, not that the physics are the same between the two mods, but I think, obviously Del Piccolo is making good use of the 191. So I guess the next thing to consider is, if we're going to have the tire stops, when will they occur?
We should be expecting them to come in by mid-race. If everybody's doing the one-stop strategy, that should be the most interesting here. And I had mentioned before that David Jones' position seemed secure, but I don't think any longer, because Little Al is quickly coming up to him. I think those situations with the car have been costing David a lot of time, and probably what is worse, a lot of confidence when pushing it.
Yep,
So
riding.
we could be looking at the three-way battle soon, because Juha is closing in on Little Al and Little Al on David. So, oh, look at that! David just missed there in the turn exit. He put the wheel on the gravel, lost more ground, and he's now even more in trouble.
Yep. Little Al's luring him in, or sorry, reeling him in.
Coming now to these very high downforce corners, this is where you will be stressing your tires a lot.
Oh, and look at how much David is struggling with that car. He's all over the place.
Yeah, and Little Al almost got fooled by that trajectory. Look at that McLaren. I mean, the pace is amazing.
Oh, David Young takes
David trying to cover the inside.
Yeah, he's covering the inside. Little Al, oh, goodness, a little bit of contact there. So David made his attempt to take a defensive posture, and it paid off somewhat, but...
he's an old fox.
Yes, he is. We'll see what happens here. I mean, Little Al clearly has the legs, and clearly a car that's handling better. David Young has the experience on his side in this situation. They've got a lap car just ahead of Tomasz Matusek. He might unwittingly become part of this equation. We'll see. That LCD display.
Misunderstanding there.
Oh, yep. Oh, and now, of course, is Matusek going to make room for Little Al? Of course he is. Because it's always the next car that's the luckier one. Because you've already been made aware of, oh, there are cars here, and then you look for the next one.
Coming again to the same section as before. Very heavy leaning here into this corner. Look at Little Al. He's coming close. He wants to be close enough this time at the exit of the corner. And overtake cleanly now. Now, this time he got him. David doesn't even try to cover the position.
No, he's got him this time.
Defeated. I mean, there's nothing you can do against that powerful Honda engine there. So
yeah. Meanwhile,
he already
Juha
did it very well in the previous lap. And his choices now are sticking there and trying to wait until Little Al makes an error.
There's a great scrap going on between Juha and Johnny Aces, but unfortunately, it's going to have to be paused for a moment because here comes Dave Miller. Jonathan, being Jonathan, lets him by. And actually, Juha is... Oh, goodness! Juha goes off the course! No! Juha and Jonathan into the barrier.
Yeah, very dangerous. Let's hope that they can...
Oh, God! They're both trying to get going and actually knock into each other. Oh, my goodness. Well, that probably deserves a replay. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, Jonathan coming on the inside, and then Miller going up the inside, and it looked as if everything would be fine here, but then Juha loses it on acceleration and just pins Johnny into the corner. Juha backing up, trying to get going. Nope, can't do it. Jonathan tries to go right then, but doesn't count on Juha backing up again. A bit of a Keystone Cops moment here in Catalonia. But
the Benny Hill parking lot.
Yeah, you can play yakety sax wherever you are to go with that. But thankfully, it doesn't appear that the damage is too severe, and they're both on their way. But man, that McLaren, it's a fast car, but you got to be on top of things all the time with that car, don't you?
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not an easy car to drive. So Ray Riddle now getting a bit closer again to Brian Janik. This will be interesting also.
Yeah, it is getting very close indeed. I'll have to keep an eye on this. Yeah, everybody using every inch of track as much as they can, because obviously you maintain speed, but it's also you're being as gentle to your tires as possible. you're not putting as much stress in the sidewalls if you torque it less like that. So, yeah, Janik, I think you're right about the Minardi's. In spite of the fact that they have the 12 cylinders, I don't think the car is suited well for this particular track. I think if they're going to do well in this race, it's going to be down to the talent of the drivers. And
very opportunistic now, David Junt, when Little Al made room for letting Dave Miller by.
Look out, look out, look out, look out.
Porfirio in the middle.
Oh, Porfirio really was in kind of an awkward position there. Junt is in 10th now.
Vadim Tasiak is now in the pits.
Okay, well, Vadim must have had some kind of an incident on track. Yeah, that was a pretty opportunistic situation there. And it happens, you know, it's not to denigrate Porfirio in any way. I mean, a lot of times you suddenly find there might have been a bit of contact there. A lot of times you find yourself in an odd situation where a lapped car, you arrive at it and you're not expecting it to be there. Nilsson now trying to lap Little Al. Little Al lets him by. But yeah, you mentioned earlier that David Junt was the old fox, and I think there was another example of that just now in lapping Porfirio Santos.
Well, Jonathan and Juha Boss are again at it, and Ray Riddle is now close, very close to Brian Janik.
Oh yeah, they're really close. Going through the first turn now. That's an interesting matchup, the Judd versus this V12. Ray's going to need that slipstream in order to make a move. So 22 laps are on the board now. We're working 23. So in another 10 laps or so, we should probably keep an eagle eye on the pit entrance. Oh, I think Ray might have a shot here, like at the end of this lap. He's right with Brian right now. Oh, there was a piece of a car. So somebody, that might have been Vadim's wing, perhaps.
I don't think so. I think he had both when he entered the pits. I'm
Okay,
not sure
so
if he had ruined the tires.
Okay, so it might be somebody else.
Yeah, but Ray has to be very careful here.
Yeah, he does.
Especially in these turns with the aero effects from the car in front. Look at that, how he slipped to the outside there. Lack of aerodynamic support.
Yellow flags in this area. Porfirio Santos is off of the track at the exit of the final turn. Ray Riddle goes up to 6th place. So somebody went to the pits. It's David Jakes. David Jakes has made a pit stop. There he is, exiting pit lane right now. So he's the first of our... It's kind of early to make a pit stop, if you ask me.
Maybe not if you're doing 2.
Interesting. The plot
could very well be.
My, the plot thickens. Porfirio Santos trying to get going
you have
again.
us without front wing. So he's in for the pits now.
Yeah, he's going to have to, at least he's on the backside of the course, so he's not going to lose too much time. But goodness, there are cars climbing all over the back of him trying to get by.
Yeah, there's, for example, Vadim Tasiak now. Coming here. He's on his way up. He probably is also on a 2-stop strategy, trying to recover now the lost positions. And Porfirio also with a crippled car seems to be going
very slowly, yeah,
for repairs.
Yeah, Miller is working lap number 24 right now. And I'm guessing that if we looked at his lap times, he would be lapping like a Swiss watch, right?
Yes, as long as he has clean air in front, yes. But the thing is that because of the situations in the track, there have been lapped cars earlier than you could expect. And that has been affecting a lot of rhythm to the people in the front. Hackman now also in the gravel. but coming back to track. And I think this is telling that at this point many people are having serious problem with the tire wear.
We just had Miller take a very big swipe coming off of the last
Right
turn.
middle, very close to Brian Janik, but it seems that Brian is requesting the pit already, or maybe his pit crew has indicated him that it's about time to enter. Whatever the case, we're going to keep an eye here because this battle could be decided in a different way than we expected if Brian enters the pits now.
Yeah, you got the Windows paperclip of sorts telling you, hey, it looks like you need to make a pit stop, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to make said pit stop. We're looking down the pit lane here. Miller continuing to lead. Nilsson second. Mikkola third. Del Piccolo fourth. Jakes already has made his pit stop. And also...
there goes Brian Janik into the pits.
All right, so here he
it
comes.
remains to be seen if Ray Riddle is on the same strategy or not. And in that case, if he's in the same strategy, he better speed up now and use the opportunity of the slow laps that Brian will be having, both, well, now that he has entered and also on the exit lap.
Here comes Janik out, and it looks like Jakes is going to pass him. There he goes. We got Porfirio Santos in as well. Yeah, it was a very quick pit stop, so... Yeah, Porfirio's making another stop here. Apparently his car is still not handling the way he needs it to. Miller coming around one more time. He's going to stay out. And there's Nilsson coming through, so it appears that... oh my goodness. Mikkola taking a very wide exit off of that final turn. That was... that looked more dramatic than it probably was.
El Piccolo now lapping Adam Hackman.
Yep.
Cleanly.
Ray Riddle in fifth. Sixth for David Jakes. Yeah, Hackman driving a very smooth race in eighth place. He could be rewarded by the end with a points finish. We'll see. Yunt is up to ninth, but of course he's benefiting from some pit stops.
And
there.
he himself has also now the icon for the pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me much if he is in on the next lap.
Probably, I would think so.
It's quite weird because if you're going for two pit stops, then why not space it evenly? Because we're nearly 40% into the race. But then again...
Oh no! David has spun off the track! My goodness!
Maybe he was fiddling with the hood.
He
trying
could
to
have
give
been.
Instructions to his team for another set of compounds.
Oh my goodness. Well, he's got it rolling, but... Damn, that LaRousse. Oh goodness, be careful.
It's not really a bad handling car, but the problem is if you are trying to extract the most of it and go for a very edgy setup, then you might actually be suffering a lot. I think that the strength of this car is the regularity that you can have. Yes, you are slower, but you can be regular. And, well, if you're going for the edge with it, then you're going to struggle.
I think he might actually have a flat tire here based on the way he's driving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could
he's
very well be.
Yeah, it looks like it. He's down to 11th now. So yeah, this is a not a good situation for David Yunt. And he does. He comes into the pits now, so no surprise there. Asserklinth moves up to 10th place. My goodness! Vadim Tasiak just had a huge swipe of the wheel coming out of the last turn. So yeah, people definitely are suffering on these tires now. So I think you're right. I think at some point we're going to have the leaders coming in here before long.
Dave Miller now is lapping Bruno Chacon, his teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno, we haven't talked much about him, but he has been having a very clean and steady race so far. He's there in 13th position.
Yep.
Obviously improving a lot from the beginning, thanks to the people that have been abandoning. Miller continues to lead in fashion. I don't think he has gotten into the pits even yet.
Well, he set the fastest lap of the race not long ago, so if he's having tire wear problems, I'd like to know where they're manifesting.
Yeah, he for sure has started on a harder component than the rest of people, but it's working very well for him. Junt in the gravel again.
Oh, no. So things go from bad to worse for him. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him just exit out.
And there he goes again.
Oh, man.
Not sure what's going on here. Maybe he has some damage in the car.
He might have damage in the car that he can't get fixed in the pits. That might be what's going on. Yeah, Miller's just... The car just looks like it's on rails compared to other people. Like, he just went through that switchback just beautifully with not a hint of a twitch. And then you look at other cars that do it, you know, and they're just right on the very edge of adhesion. Well, Del Piccolo looks pretty good. Maybe the pace is just slowing down a little bit.
Miller is, he even has ventured into the 126, which is blistering pace at this point of the race. He hasn't stopped. I was looking at the lap times just in case we had missed it. No, he hasn't stopped. He has done right now the quickest possible lap, 126.4. So it seems that he's going for a single stop, taking no chances there.
Yeah, it certainly appears that the top four are doing that. Del Piccolo stays out. Miller stays out.
Yeah, and Nilsson also does.
Nilsson and so, yeah, it definitely appears that that's the case.
Oof, Pascal Mikula having their nearly moment when trying to lap Bruno Chacon. When letting the car open the trajectory, he nearly lost it. He hasn't been in the pits yet either, so I'm also wondering what his strategy is. But it's interesting to see that he has blistering pace in qualifying. Well, he's obviously a very quick driver, but he's suffering lately in the races. Still, as we said, his position in the championship is optimal, and what he needs to do is basically keep a cool head and collect as many points as possible, because it might not be in this race, it could be the next or the following one, but whatever the case, he could very well, he has real chances of being the champion before the end of the season.
Most certainly. Jake's continuing to soldier on in 6th place. He was the first to make that the tire stops of the top runners, and I think that's probably going to bear out as a very good decision.
Thomas Matusek now also into the pits. David Junt is out of the race. He has finally decided to quit. Logical decision considering how the car was handling. And Pascal now overtaking Juha Boss, lapping him. Nearly misunderstanding there, but fortunately work for them.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised about the retirement of David Junt.
So we have got now a Dallara duo of teammates. David Jacks is closing quickly to Rai Riddle, although I'm not sure. No, Rai hasn't stopped. Jakes is obviously on fresh tires. He has stopped.
So that's interesting.
And there goes Rai Riddle, yeah.
Yep, Ray goes into the pits, so that's not unexpected. There's that narrow pit entrance that Jonathan was showing us before we went.
Yeah, the pits themselves are wide, but the pit entrance is hair-pricing.
Yeah, it's like the end of an eyedropper. It looks like.
So, but wait a moment, because right now there's Brian Janik coming, and Rai is exiting now, so it seems that in the end, Brian Janik's strategy was good, because Rai was right behind him, and now after their respective pit stops, Brian Janik has a good lead on him.
Yeah, and like Janik now enters the points.
4 seconds.
Yeah, good strategy played out by Janik in this situation. You're right. So we'll see what happens.
It remains to be seen if the race pace of Brian is now good enough to get away from Rai, because I would gather that both of them have still a pit stop to do. Although it could very well happen because the cars are so much lighter now. Remember, there are no refuel situations here in 91. It could happen that they put the same tires and yet they make more laps.
Brian just had a big moment, so he's...
Well, but him also.
Yeah.
Minardis are struggling a bit here.
Well, you called it. They're not ideally suited to this, to these tracks. To this track in particular. My goodness. All right. Well, we'll see. I'll start doing my calculations for the championship after the front runners have stopped, because that'll be that is the most opportune time, I think, to have a prediction of where we're going.
And Steve Parker just let Thomas Matusek by in a set of blue flags, and I believe he didn't realize it was for position.
Oops.
Although he's struggling a bit with the car and is now trying to follow Thomas. No, Steve is definitely, look at that. I mean, he lost the car right now on the gravel. He should probably have tweaked a bit the front wing, because his car seems to suffer lots of oversteer, and he actually has requested a pit.
All right, so probably he's reasoned that this is the best time to do that. He's kind of coasting his way through now. You can see his teammate just behind him, but that's not a battle for position right now.
Del Piccolo in the pits.
Del Piccolo pitting, okay. Yep,
Coming
he's
out,
exiting
I
now.
I think his position is unchanged.
Yeah, he's going to get out way ahead of Jake's, actually. Yellow flags here in the mainstream. Not sure what that's about. Maybe it was just a car exiting the pits. In any case, yeah, Del Piccolo got out ahead of Jake's. That's pretty impressive, actually. It says a lot about his pace in this car, because the two of them were right close to each other before the pit stops. Mikola going to lap Bouchard here, who gives him plenty of room. And Janik is about to be lapped by our leader. So that gives you an idea of the pace so far. We're at about the midway point of the race. And, in fact, in another few yards, we will be at the midpoint of the race. And everyone up to sixth place has been lapped by the leader. So that tells you about Dave Miller's performance so far, right there.
Juha was very slow on the track now. Adam Hackman is just going by. Oh, again without front wing.
My goodness.
The
Again.
bills in the McLaren team for front wings this race are going to be huge.
Yeah, they're going to have to go back to the autoclave and make a few more between now and... Oh, he even glances off of the pit entry there. Makes
Sometimes when you're jinxing a race, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours. Is another,
oh, yeah. Well, Steve Parker finally decided to quit that idle handling car. I mean, it's been a nightmare of a week for him, with his controller not being able to be recognized by the game, and then finally joining in the last possible moment without a well-developed setup. Let's hope he has better luck next time, now that he seems to have fixed the steering wheel problems.
Migala has not lost a lot of ground to Nilsson overall this time. I mean, the two of them have yet to pit yet, but there's still only about a 4-second gap between the two of them. So
yeah, it's been remaining quite constant.
Yeah, pretty constant. Yeah, you can see a yellow speck right there in the distance. That would be the aforementioned Nilsson.
Miller seems to be indicating now pits.
All right. Yes, he is. And he's now coming up on Juha. You better be careful, because Juha's car is not handling the way it's... Well, he just exited the pits, so with a new front wing, but still, it might be... Well, Juha makes plenty of room, sportsman that he is.
A rare rematch this season of the number 5 Williams and number 1 McLaren to get on the track.
Yeah, not much. All right, so keep an eye. Oh my goodness. Miller just taking that car right to the very limit, doing an excellent job. Getting great rotation too. There's Vadim. Oh my goodness.
And Nilsson speeding up now. I think that he knows that this could be a good chance to make a big dent in...
Yeah, an overlap. And here comes Dave Miller into the pits now. God, and he's really hauling too on his way in.
So if there is some life in Nilsson's tires, then what he has to do now is put the quickest lap that he can do until the moment when he stops, destroy the rest of his tires there, and then when he comes out of the pits with fresh one, He's indicating now bits himself.
Excellent.
Hope that he has actually reduced the gap a bit with Miller. Oh, a car there in the wall.
Oh my goodness, that was Vadim Tasiak. Yep, Vadim.
Lost it there on the exit.
Here's a replay of what happened here. My goodness. That Minardi just evil on this track, I guess. Oh, yeah, it was the accelerator. Oh, my goodness, that's a head-on crash into the barrier. Thankfully, this is sim racing, not the real thing. So, Vadim out of the race, unfortunately. And still sitting there, probably just contemplating what went wrong. But the leader, of course, now is Anders Nilsson. With Mikkola in second place. Yeah, you're right. I think, if I'm Nilsson, I'm trying to just make as much time as I can right now to see if you can get a slight overlap on Mikkola. Or increase your distance on Mikkola and maybe catch a little bit.
Yeah, problem for him is that he found a bit of traffic in the lap.
He did. And yeah, here he comes in now, so...
Yeah, he's going to absolutely risk it because here in the pit lane is...
and Mikkola is...
But you can actually even win a second here if you are really daring against the wall there.
And if you look back there, look who's in the pits right with him.
Miller now coming on the front stretch. Nilsson now coming out of the pits, and I would even go as far as saying that the distance has increased.
Well, Nilsson and Mikkola entered exiting the pits at the exact same time. They're right together now, so this is going to be interesting as Miller goes back into the lead. Yellow flags in this area once again. So somebody's off the track there. We just can't see it.
So it's 8 seconds. 8 seconds still the gap. Although Mikkola is now much closer to...
He is. Yeah, he did. I think that traffic that Nilsson encountered is probably to blame.
Yeah, definitely. Miller was very clever when choosing also the moment to go in for the pits. He basically had done 2 clean laps or 3 clean laps before, and that was the perfect timing.
All right, so it appears we have all of the front runners having pitted now, so...
Little I think hasn't pit yet. He's in 8th position.
Mm-hmm.
Hackman, I know, has pit some moments ago. Jonathan, I think, hasn't pit either. And in the case of Little Al, this could well explain why he was not as quick as Juha in the first part of the race. Maybe he had planned for a single pit stop and had put some harder tires. Whatever the case, he isn't even signaling pits yet, and he seems to be well on his freedom.
Meanwhile, the battle between Mikkola and Nilsson is starting to heat up here. I mean, Mikkola just pulled on Nilsson quite a lot coming down the main straight. So this is shaping up to be quite a good battle here.
How interesting is actually for Mikkola to overtake Nilsson, because with Miller on top, he wouldn't be champion yet. So this
it would kick the can down the road one more week, that's for sure. Or one more race. I think we got a couple of weeks in between.
I mean,
or 3.
I'm not sure if there is a risk that is worth it for Mikkola at this point. One thing is following and pressing Nilsson a bit to see if he makes an error, but I don't think it would be worth it to try any risky move or, well, go for it, you know? Because there is a lot to lose. If Pascal would not score here, that would be a big blow.
I'm doing the mathematics here, so that's why I'm slightly quiet, but I'll give you guys the points if they ended now in just a moment. But, this is interesting. Nilsson arrives at a very awkward moment with Porfirio Santos, and
that's killed his speed.
Yeah, basically. So now, poor Porfirio. He always seems to end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mikkola at least was able to catch back up again with Nilsson as they exit turn 1.
Woof, Nilsson there up to the very edge of the track.
So the points, if
Nilsson is pushing it.
Oh goodness!
Careful
Look at that!
there,
Oh,
there's a
he
track-
slowed down
the
because
car
Juha
going
is
into
off the
Juha
track. Juha's off the track again, yet again. So
Yeah, that car
Nilsson.
is damaged. That's obvious.
Yeah,
But
Nilsson.
I was saying he's pushing it a lot to keep Pascal behind. And that could lead to an error. Remember what happened in Estoril, whereas Pascal seems very, very confident and very well settled in the car.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just did the calculations, and if the race ended right now, Mikola would leave with the points lead with 67 points. Miller would have 58, and Jakes would have 39. So, essentially, Jakes would be out of the championship hunt. And it would be down to just 2 people. So, it's great for us, great viewing. Mikola closing in now on Nilsson. Might make a try here. Yes, pops out. Oh, Nilsson with a little late braking there is able to maintain the position.
But Pascal is being very cautious there.
Yes, no question about it.
The Pascal we know could easily have thrown the car there into the apex. But he's not going to risk it, which I think is fine. I mean, it's exactly his role as championship leader right now to do that. I mean, put pressure on Anders Nilsson, but always taking good care that you are not going to get involved into any incident.
Meanwhile, this is playing right into the hands of Dave Miller because he's streaking away from this group. He's leading them by 14 seconds and change.
And Gabriele Del Piccolo is smoothly quiet.
Oh my goodness! Pascal's run off the track! Pascal's run off the track! He was very lucky to not hit anything.
I was just telling that Pascal
oh my
was
goodness.
being caught up by Del Piccolo, and look at that. Del Piccolo
oh
is now
boy.
right behind. That's exactly
goodness.
what Del Piccolo was hoping for.
Oh, Del Piccolo goes in the inside. He sees the opportunity. These two, as we mentioned in the past, lots of bad blood between these two. And Del Piccolo now senses an opportunity, and Mikola is going to have to be very careful to not let the emotions of...
there for Mikola.
Yeah,
it would surprise me much if Del Piccolo isn't able to overtake at the end.
There he goes. Del Piccolo overtake... Oh my goodness. Mikola trying to get the benefit of slipstream there, and he locks up. Mikola better check himself right now. I mean, he's already made one mistake. He doesn't want to compound it. But he really, really wants to... I think he's really angry with himself right now, and he really wants to get by Del Piccolo.
But he has a very hard bone to chew now, because Del Piccolo is one of those solid rock guys that stays in front of you and won't make any error easily.
Yeah, and he will make that green car as wide as he possibly can.
Oh yeah, you bet on that.
No question about it. But Mikola...
As we already mentioned in the preview...
Oh, look at Mikola. He's all over the place.
You can see it here. It's very complicated to overtake in this section of the track. I mean, there is not enough of a run between corners to be able to overtake the other car. And this continuous shifting of the car between left, right, it's very complicated to handle when you're following another car with aerodynamic effects like this one's.
So in the championship scheme of things, that doesn't change things too much. It just means that Mikola will leave with 66 points if it finishes the way it is now, and Miller will have 58 and Jakes 39. But it definitely kicks the championship can down the road. And look at Del Piccolo streak away.
Well, we talked also about this in the preview of the race. This is the ideal scenario for Dave Miller, obviously.
Yeah, Miller.
Whoa, Brian Janik there got too optimistic with the throttle spun out, and thankfully for him, he didn't kiss the wall.
That's the second time we've seen that in this race with the Minardi. It was the same thing that caused Vadim's retirement, if I'm right. You get on the throttle too much, and the wheels break loose. Thankfully for... Oh, Brian actually had a pretty hard impact there. Oh my goodness, that was very fortunate for Miller. He popped out right when Miller was coming by. Thankfully, Miller saw him in time. But my goodness, I wouldn't be surprised if Janik's got some damage there. He's still in 6th place, and he has both wings intact. But a car that was already evil handling might
Oh,
even...
whoa, Miller!
No!
He got into the slipstream.
No, Miller!
He was too optimistic with the throttle.
My goodness, he's still leading, though. He's still in the lead. Here comes Nilsson off the corner. My goodness. High drama here at Catalonia. Miller continues to lead, but now is being tailed by Nilsson, who sees an opportunity. Nilsson looking up the inside. Is he going to go for it? No.
And Miller was really lucky to have right
Oh, my
in the middle
goodness.
of the straight.
Incredible. Let's look at a replay of what happened here. Just when you thought it was safe to think, well, things are pretty well settled, he was behind his teammate, Bruno Chacon. Let's see.
Well, this is Formula One for you.
Yeah. No, Bruno had nothing to do with that.
No. It was absolutely just the aerodynamic effect.
It's just aerodynamics,
Miller
yeah.
pushed the car too hard into the corner to get a clean exit. And the end result was that he basically lost it there.
Unbelievable. So now, what was a foregone conclusion, it becomes something way more complicated. Miller continuing to lead, but he's got now Nilsson right behind him. And Nilsson, with that blue and yellow carrot sitting in front of him, is going to drive that much harder. And there's Bruno having an off, thankfully making room for his teammate. But Nilsson definitely sees an opportunity here. God, Miller must be hardly believing his luck right now that he didn't have an incident with a wall with that.
Bruno's
Very
now
lucky.
in the pits, probably
Yeah.
for a regular pit stop. But look at that, because there is Pascal now very
Oh
close
yes,
to Del Piccolo.
Pascal right with his nemesis.
It's been only Right Riddle's slipstream that has saved Del Piccolo this time.
Yeah, look at that. Del Piccolo sweeps back to the outside to get the ultimate angle coming in.
Yeah, because
yeah.
as hard as it is to overtake here on the back part of the circuit, the main straight is a killer if you don't have the legs in your engine.
Yeah, Radal there is 7th place, a lap behind these cars, so he's still having a good race. Jakes is still... Oh my goodness, there Mikola had a bit of a loose moment there, and even Radal is closing up on him now. Interesting, though, that he was able to close up on... Del Piccolo must have had an error somewhere along the way, because Mikola was right back with him so quickly. That's strange.
Meanwhile, Miller has bitten the teeth hard and has put already a big gap between him and Nilsson, so as to show him that things are not going to be easy. And wait a moment, because okay, Pascal Mikula had fallen behind Del Piccolo, but I thought the difference was too big, but no, it seems that apparently after these incidents he has cooled down a bit. Remember, we have been saying this already from the start of the season, the tires in these Formula One cars, they are very complicated and very delicate. I mean, they are designed to give you the best possible combination of speed over a whole race. But if you're pushing them very much in one situation, in one lap or 2 laps, at some point you have to let it and let them cool down. Or otherwise you could blow them, because they run out of grip, you are sliding and you could very easily blow them. So I'm thinking that probably after the effort of trying to overtake Gabriele, Pascal has had to basically back off a bit.
Well, I think it says great volumes about Miller that he didn't let that incident compound into something more serious, because yeah, just like you said, he, as if to make a point that, you know, that was an anomaly. Boom, boom, boom. He sets off on several very good laps and has put more distance to himself and Nilsson. It's only 3 seconds, mind you.
And
so
now Hackman has also Little in his crosshairs. He has been, after his pit stop, reducing the gap steadily and constantly to Little and wants that 8th position that the McLaren is in now. Not sure about the pits. I have probably missed the moment when Little Al pit, but I think he has pit.
Well, he's got the leader, Miller, coming up behind him now.
Yep. That's
he's
the power
trying to
of the Renault engine.
Well, he's trying
to.
Lots
between Hackman and Little Al, that will be a relief for Little Al, at least for some corners.
I can see the game that Hackman was playing there. He's trying to let Miller by with as little speed loss as possible.
Yeah, and also probably trying to slot right behind him so as to make a move on Little Al together with Miller. But no, that won't work that easily.
Little Al letting by Miller as well. Janik soldiering on 6th place, Jakeson 5th. Yeah, Mikola is now 3 seconds behind Del Piccolo. So, I mean, now I think I know Mikola is probably really frustrated with this situation, but although, if you look just ahead the road there, you can see that, oh my goodness, this is rather interesting. Del Piccolo got held up a lot there by lap traffic, so this may not be over yet. We'll see.
No, I think same is going to happen to Pascal. But anyway, I think that he has cooled down and realized that every race that goes by where he scores point is working in favor of him. So yeah, he's been bottled a bit there by Adam Hackman. And where is
Little but Hackman won't make a problem for him. He's going to let him.
Yeah, it's going to be a big relief for Little Al because this is basically allowing him to distance himself from Hackman, although he's now suffering the need to have to let other cars by. First it was Brian Janik and now it's going to be Pascal. Let's see what he chooses to allow Pascal.
Yep. There you go. All right, well, do you think this is a good time for the trivia question?
Yeah, we could. Whoa, another movement by Pascal's car. Yeah, why not? Although Hackman is now right behind Little Al.
Well, let's wait a minute then.
We will have still some relief for some seconds. So.
No, let's stick with this because this could develop into something good. Yeah, Hackman is with Little Al, and there's still cars in front of them, so we'll see what happens here. Oh my goodness! Little Al straight lined the chicane there, and his rear tires were all the way up in the air. My goodness. That I want to run that again.
McLaren.
I'm going to use the slow motion feature on this one because my goodness, he.
Yeah, but there is obvious difference in pace, so it's a matter of time until Hackman is able to get by.
Watch this. Boom! Right over the. Oh, jeez. My goodness. Well.
Hey,
Oh, what
Pascal is out of the race.
Oh, no, Pascal's out of the race. My goodness. What happened?
Pascal crashed with another car. What happened?
No! Unbelievable. Replay upcoming. What happened? Oh, don't tell me it was Porfirio Santos. Let's see what happened. I really hope it's not, because that would have been... See what happens here. It is! Oh, my goodness! Oh, he ran clear into the right-hand side of Porfirio. It was a closure rate thing, and Porfirio braked earlier than Pascal was anticipating. Oh! How do you assign fault there, or can you? My goodness.
Probably Porfirio thought that Pascal was going to go for a late braking on the inside, and he was moving to the outside of the track to make room. But Pascal didn't expect that to happen that soon.
Let's look at it from his point of view here. Oh my goodness, yeah, Porfirio, it's like a parachute came out of his car practically. Oh, I see what happened. Pascal thought he was probably clear on the left-hand side, but Porfirio drifted back to the left. I don't think he was expecting... Yeah, he wasn't expecting Pascal to be out there. So, communication breakdown, as Led Zeppelin would say, but oh my goodness, that's... What a nightmare for Mikola. And, my goodness, what an opportunity for Miller. On the other end of the spectrum, my goodness. This is turning out to be a very dramatic...
The race goes on, and meanwhile Del Piccolo is starting to get close to Anders Nilsson. They're going to be fighting for second position. Brian Janik is in the pits again. And as far as the battle
So he was on a
between
two-stop.
Adam Hackman and Little, surprisingly enough, Jonathan Atherclean has slot between both.
The gap between the first place Caravanders and the leader Dave Miller is now 4.3 seconds, but look at Del Piccolo. He is closing on Anders Nilsson. Del Piccolo once again showing his ability in this Jordan, designed by Gary Anderson, a very beautiful car. I was doing a demonstration rendering of an F1 car for a student the other day, and I just subconsciously drew something very close to a J191. I was going for a very beautiful looking F1 car, and I'm not surprised that something like that just popped out of my pencil. But yeah, he's definitely closing on him here. Got the legs, so we'll see what happens here. So yeah, with the points being the way they are now, yeah, basically it comes down to Mikola 63 points. He leaves with 0. And Miller, if he wins, leaves with 58. I mean, so 63.
Jonathan is going to change the McLaren with his Lotus. Look at that. I mean, not here in the main street probably, because there you go. The legs in that McLaren are going to make it impossible for him. But as soon as the twisty section starts, Jonathan is there challenging Little Al.
That's really amazing. I mean, Jonathan clearly has this Lotus set up well, and you're right. It's a very light car, obviously. And we talked about some of the improvements that the McLaren had in previous races, and it's one of them in particular. I think it was a variable trumpet design. Look at, my goodness, look at how much he's closing now. But one of the caveats of that variable trumpet on the Honda engine was that it resulted in not having the best weight distribution or ballast in the car. So I don't know if that's playing into what we're seeing now, but definitely Jonathan's right with him right now, and he's absolutely well placed to take that position, although now they're on the main straightaway here. But look at the slow exit Little Al's having. He's basically being saved by the horses in that engine. Look at him streak away now. My goodness. And there goes Hackman by into 8th place. My goodness, so even a Ford DFV is doing better here than the Lotus power plant. It's a Judd, correct?
It's a Judd.
Oh, Jonathan, look out. Jonathan might have some aero issues there that were causing that, but my goodness, thankfully he's okay.
Yeah, look at the difference. Boom!
All right, so is now a good time for the trivia question?
Well, I'm looking at the track because we got plenty of action, but yeah, Gabriele is not yet close enough to Nilsson, so I guess we could quickly go for that. And you can use the wrong button, as I have no idea about the...
Oh, come on! You've got to know.
No, I don't know.
All right, well let's give it a shot here. All right, the trivia question is: which driver scored his one and only Formula One victory in the Spanish Grand Prix at Montjuic Park? Was it A?
Watch out now for Hackman.
Oh, jeez. All right, back to the action.
So was it A?
You know, you just don't want to be wrong. That's what it is. You want to.
It is. I admit.
You've got a 1 in 3 shot at getting it right.
That's true. But I'm not that quick at googling it.
Oh yeah. Well, see, I'm assuming that you're going to be a gentleman and not do that.
I don't. Even if I wanted, I have no time here.
It's true. You're too busy watching the monitor and picking up on all the battles I can't see. But yeah, Hackman's right with. He's kind of stuck between these two.
There won't be another chance until the next lap. So let's go for the question.
No. Let's see here. Esserkland's right with him, so And Little Al's just in front. It's all going to be predicated on how well Little Al gets off the corners going onto the main straight, because we've seen what happens if you get a bad exit there. I mean,
okay, and for whatever reason that I don't understand, because Jakes was a lot behind Del Piccolo before, Jakes is now nearly right behind Del Piccolo, so it's going to be a three-way battle because Del Piccolo is already on Nilsson's
there's the
toes.
opportunity right there. Little Al ran off the course. Now it's a drag race. That tells you how powerful that Honda engine is. He ran off the course into the gravel and was still able to cover the spot at the end of the straightaway.
So watch for the top now, because as I said, they have been getting way closer together. So there's Del Piccolo now trying to overtake Nilsson.
Oh, no. Look out. My goodness.
Yeah, an error by Del Piccolo. Probably thought that Nilsson was going to move quickly to the outside.
And look at that, on the inside, there's contact between them. My goodness, guys, knock it off.
Didn't like that.
No, he did not.
Just made it very clear to Del Piccolo.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, Del Piccolo.
Jakes, but now look at that. Jakes is now right behind Nilsson.
Yep, Jakes ready to pounce here. He's been in. He was in 5th for most of the race. Obviously, he ascended to 4th because of Mikola's retirement. But
yeah, but he was way behind.
He was.
Now
yeah.
he has caught up.
Yeah, well, he was one of the
Nilsson
first
either
ones
has
to
overcooked the tires or has a bit of damage in the suspension, because look at how quickly Del Piccolo moved away.
Yeah, he's gone. He's checked out. Well, not exactly checked out, but yeah, he's pulled out a big gap. My goodness.
So Nilsson has lost the 2nd position, and if he is not careful enough, he will lose the 3rd position.
Yeah,
very
he
soon.
will. Unfortunately for Del Piccolo, he doesn't have enough points that he can challenge for the championship at all. He's basically just driving for individual race results.
And I should point out that even if the difference is not big, Del Piccolo is lapping quicker than Dave Miller at this moment. 8 seconds is the gap between them.
That's interesting.
And still 12 laps to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do you think we could be looking at a possible battle for the win here? I don't know. We've seen just about everything else today.
Likely not, but if Miller makes any kind of error, he sure will have Del Piccolo on his toes.
All right, let's try the trivia question finally, all right?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, trivia question is, which driver scored his one and only Formula One victory in the Spanish Grand Prix at Monterey Park? Was it A, Gunnar Nilsson, B, Carlos Pache, or C, Jochen Mass? All right, time's up. What do you think?
I have no idea. Carlos Pace?
Oh, no. No. My Windows wave files have frozen. No, I've been robbed of the fun part of this. Damn you, Bill Gates. The answer is Jochen Mass, 1975.
Okay.
Wrong.
Oh, Jonathan is now in the gravel. Wrong. He and Hoffman had made it past Little Al, who must have had an out-track excursion. But now Jonathan was in the gravel, and Little Al has been able to close by, but not a lot.
Sorry, the wrong just finally made its appearance, albeit 30 seconds too late.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah, you don't mind. Oh boy. All right. So the gap you mentioned between Miller and Del Piccolo was 8 seconds. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I mean, we've seen a lot of crazy stuff in this race. I wouldn't be surprised if Del Piccolo is able to reel him in. It's 7.8 seconds. Yeah, Nilsson definitely is probably nursing that car home. I would reason. We'll have to talk to him after the race, but I'm guessing there's probably damage there. Jake's seems to have cooled off a little bit in his pursuit.
Well,
looking
more
over
than a little, because he scored now as 1 lap down, but he's going to cross the start-finish lap now.
But in fourth place,
that's weird. I mean, he's in 4th position, but as far as the game counts, he's 1 lap down. So maybe he was actually just trying to unlap himself from Nilsson.
Interesting. So we weren't aware that he was actually a lap in arrears of the cars around him. Such has been the pace of this race. 10 laps to go now.
With so many tracks, with so many cars on track, and the overtaking and the lapping and all that, basically it's very easy to lose track of what's going on.
Kudos to Yuha for not quitting. He's still out there. Pushing really hard, and he just does. I know what he's thinking. I mean, if you can avoid a DNF, you want to avoid it, because one of the stats that I always like to see really high is consistency.
Yeah.
And I think in the other league that we were in, I finished with a consistency of about 54% or so, and that was over a series of years. That was over like a 7-year span or something. So far in this league, my consistency rating, my finish rate is 85%. And I'm working very hard to keep it up there. Yeah, another great performance by Del Piccolo. But not without raising the ire of some of the drivers around him, most notably Hackman. So it'd be interesting to see what his... Well, I'm sure he'll be plenty polite about it, but definitely a lot of close quarters battle there between those two cars. Miller continuing to lead. The gap is increased now to 8.4, so it looks like Miller is going to be able to hold on to his lead, provided he doesn't make any more mistakes.
And after whatever incident Little Al had, he seems now to be catching up again with Jonathan and Adam Hackman. I wonder if that was actually not an incident, but a stop for tires.
Could have been.
I'm looking here. Yes, it's probable, because on lap 50, he went down to 140, and that could very well have been the pit stop, because I think I'm looking at the lap times. Maybe he did one in lap 32 or had an incident. That's the only 2 slow laps that there have been for him. So, and the lap time have been very similar, so it could be that he has done 2 stops. Whatever the case, he's now going much quicker than before and getting close to Jonathan. So yeah, indeed, it could have been a stop for tires. If that's the case, then well, it's not going to look easy for... Oh, Jonathan! Lost it at the exit of the turn, just as I was speaking.
All right, well, he's back on track now, so apparently no damage done, but just...
Nice done there, saving the car and not
good.
hitting the wall. But Little Al is now going very quick, very quick. I think he changed the tires and is now eyeing Hackman. And Hackman is the tantalizingly close position to the points, because that's the 7th. So any incident in front means you inherit at least 1 point.
Yeah, you can see him just down the road there from Little Al, so...
I don't think that we are going to see any of the top 6 having trouble so far, because they are well spaced among them.
Oh, Little Al spun! No! No. And Johnny Aces goes up to 8th place. Just that quickly. Oh no! He's stopping! Is he out of the... Little Al's out of the race. Oh, no. I don't know why he did that. Maybe his engine failed as he spun. I don't know, but he just up and quit. That's weird.
Well,
So shoot.
He was not in the point, so...
Yeah, but you don't quit.
No, I think it probably killed the engine, or... Well, I don't know. Says did not finish, not sure what happened there. He was stuck in the gravel, probably.
Dang. Well, Hackman would really love it if he could elevate himself into the points, because that would be the first point he scored in this series, I think.
It's going to be hard. That's what we were talking about before, because I don't see any of the top 6 guys making any error. They're well distanced between them, so maybe Nilsson is pushing it to try to get back to Del Piccolo, because the distance seems to be a bit lower than before.
And the gap between Del Piccolo and Dave Miller has increased substantially. It's now almost 10 seconds.
Yes,
so,
I can confirm that Nilsson is going quicker than Del Piccolo at this point. Not
all right,
sure.
well, that'll be interesting. I mean, and that gap is definitely... Yeah, there, you can see them in the same shot. Nilsson definitely is closing on
yeah, not
on
sure
Del Piccolo.
if there will be time enough for that, but...
6 laps to go. Jake's in 4th. It'll be interesting to talk to these guys after the race and ask them about their about aero washout and the tires and the brakes, because I'm sure they can provide some insights as to what was the biggest challenge in the Spanish Grand Prix. Traffic also proved to be quite decisive in this race.
Oh, yeah.
And that's funny. Like, after all of this, it looks like the Dallara team is going to end up with finishing 4th and 5th in this race, which is a nice situation, because they're fairly high up in the point standings for the constructors. They're 2nd, in fact. And with Braun Tyrrell Honda scoring no points here, this could actually... Hang on a second. Let me do the math here. 3 points for Jakes. 2 points for Radal. That's 5. No, that means they would have 59, so they don't take the lead in the Constructors Championship, but it certainly closes them in. And the other Braun Tyrrell Honda, the one that's not being driven by Mikkel, has basically been a revolving door with wheels. So I think Scuderia Italia has a chance at the Constructors title here if they keep going. They benefit, obviously, from the early success of Coxon. My goodness, 17 viewers on YouTube. The viewership keeps going up. We love that. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, the gap continues to increase. It's 10 seconds. 10 seconds and change between Del Piccolo and the leader. So he really now has to be concerned with the yellow car that is beginning to emerge from behind his Fujifilm wing.
Yeah, difference seems to be the same so far, because Del Piccolo has also upped his game in view of Nilsson catching up with him. But of course, that means that Del Piccolo is going flat out and not leaving anything in the table. So that's, as we know, the situation where you actually are risking it and where anything can happen. Because that's how it goes. I mean, it would be completely misleading to think that just because 2 cars are not in nearly contact in the track, there is nothing going on. That's not the case, absolutely. I mean, the drivers monitor very well what the other driver is doing, and in this case, for example, that Piccolo has constantly an eye on his gap with Anders Nilsson, and he's having to, because he's being pushed, he's having to respond and be quick enough to keep Anders in the distance.
These two are running the exact same Ford spec engine at this point, I believe. So it'll come down to handling and driver skill.
And now, with all the misfortunes for Jonathan, in these out-track excursions, it seems that Juha Boss is now reeling in on him, although I think he's some laps down, and it's not going to produce a fight for position. Yes, he's one lap down to Jonathan. But Jonathan is scored now as one lap down to Hackman, which I don't think is the case. Yeah, that's because Hackman has crossed the finish line already.
Well, not long to go now before we get to the end of this one. And there's plenty of exciting stuff coming up here at ISO. In particular, the Fuji Television Japanese Grand Prix, which will be on November 8th. The Trenton Times 300, which is coming up on November 15th, which is 2 rounds of USAC racing. And then the Foster's Australian Grand Prix on Sunday, November 29th. So, as I was saying, twilight days of the 2020 ISO season, but lots of stuff coming up soon. But what a great season it's been, Alberto. A lot of great action, a lot of memorable moments.
Amazing, and you can only wonder what would have happened if Coxon had not had to quit the car.
That is one unfortunate thing about this season, is that Coxon can continue, but yeah, it does really make you wonder also what we're going to have in store for us next year in terms of driver talent. There are a lot of people that are coming up who haven't raced with us for very long, and you never really know who's going to click with what car. You can test and you can guess who's going to be the best at certain formulae, but in the end, you can't always predict what'll happen. Sometimes a car and a driver just completely gel. So I'm really anxious to see what'll happen in 2021.
So while we wait for 29 and are looking at this championship, because this race is not yet over, what would be the point standing at this moment?
Well, at the point standings at this moment would be Mikola leading with 63 points. Miller would be in second with 58. So he closes the gap considerably. I mean, obviously by 10 points.
So 5 points.
Yeah, there's a 5-point difference there. Now, if I had told you there'd be a 5-point difference going into the Japanese Grand Prix a few weeks back, you probably would have been like, probably not.
Well, there's 12 points to play for in the remaining 2 races.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There's 20 points between the two, so.
Yeah, but anything can happen, and remember, because this is Formula One, only the top 6 score, and it quickly drops. I mean, victories are rewarded, but it quickly drops after that.
And Jakes would be in third place with 40 points. Although, I don't know, let's see. With Del Piccolo's second place, Del Piccolo would have 36 points because if he finishes second, he gets 6, and he currently has 30. So that would bring him to 36 points. And Jakes, with the 3 points that he's getting here for fourth, would elevate to 40 points, which unfortunately puts him out of the championship hunt.
Yes.
So we're down to, regardless, we're down to 2 people now, but 5-point spread.
Pascal and Dave Miller.
But 5-point spread going into the Japanese Grand Prix. I mean, that's sensational.
Pascal was quite discouraged after his result here. He posted in the forum, and he said that the championship is now over, considering the pace of the Williams, and that. But I don't think that's the case, because Pascal is a very quick driver, and remember that Adelaide is not a normal circuit. It's a circuit that will basically promote a lot of driving there. I think that in Suzuka it will be a bit of a struggle for the Tyrrell, but in Adelaide anything can happen. There will be a lot of traffic, and there will be the unforgiving walls on the street and all that. So
with due respect to Pascal, I think he's just feeling the disappointment right now, and that's coloring his response.
Yeah,
I mean,
he shouldn't underestimate himself.
No, don't forget that Miller almost DNF'd in this race. Oh no, Jonathan is spins right in front of. Oh my goodness, Jonathan Assercliff just spun right in front of Del Piccolo. We just caught it on camera. My goodness. Here's the replay.
Again, he was able to clear the wall.
Look at this. All right, so this is incredible. Very close escape for. Ooh. Now that's a tough assignment right there. And Del Piccolo, look at that. My goodness. Let's see how close that was.
So, Dave Miller wins the race. He has already crossed the finish line.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that
Gabriele Del Piccolo takes second. Anders Nilsson third. That's our podium. David Jakes is then fourth. Waiting now for Ray Riddle to cross the finish line.
Yep, there's Dave, winner of the Spanish Grand Prix. Sorry, we got caught up in other stuff, but kudos to him for keeping his cool, not only in the drive overall, but in that error that occurred. Gabrielle in second place, Nilsson third, Jakes fourth, Ray Riddle fifth. So a good day for the Scuderia Italia team, as I mentioned, that draws them that much closer to Tyrrell.
And the last point goes to Brian Janik.
Brian Janik, so
good that he soldered on with a able handling Minardi.
Yep, Hackman finishes seventh.
Yeah,
Asser Clint finished
for him because he really deserved a point at this moment of the season.
Yeah, Asser Clint finished in eighth, so not a points position, but definitely better than his experience last time in the Lotus. Juha finishes ninth. 10th is Bruno Chacon, another good performance from him overall. K.O. McKeel's 11th. 12th for Little Al. 13th, Tomas Matusek. And those are the last of the cars that were running, the DNF cars. Pascal Mikola, Jules Bouchard, Porfirio Santos, Vadim Tasiak, Steve Parker, David Yunt, David Saber, Cesarius Lipinski, John Team, Tim Hilla. All right. So that was the Spanish Grand Prix. Your thoughts overall in this race, Alberto?
Well, we expected a big attrition in this race due to the nature of the track. I was quite surprised to see some cars with that able handling, because it was absolutely terrible to see how the Lotus struggled here, the Minardi struggled here, and some of the top drivers were also caught by unexpected movements in the car. So it was a tough race. It was one of the races that you have to bite your teeth and basically do your job. Not so much care about the position, but care about finishing and getting the points and moving on to our races. In the end, it was very unfortunate for Pascal, very unfortunate. This was a situation with a lap car, the misunderstanding that took him off. But I think that there is still an ongoing battle for the championship. Things are not a clear cut at this point. Anything can happen, and it usually does in Formula One.
We're joined now by the winner of the Spanish Grand Prix, Dave Miller. Dave, congratulations. You've closed the gap in the championship considerably. It wasn't a perfect race, obviously. You had an issue about lap 40 or so, but walk us through this victory of yours. Certainly exciting to watch on TV, I'll say that.
Thank you. Tough one, this one. I certainly had a big scare, like you say. Managed to spin myself out in the final corner, avoiding traffic, but fortunately I didn't hit anything and was able to bring the car home. Certainly Gabrielle and Anders kept me honest the whole race, and really unlucky for Pascal. I don't know what happened to him, but I see he dropped out, so that's really unlucky.
He had a lapping incident with involving Porfirio Santos. It looked like it was kind of a miscommunication of sorts.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, but from a purely entertainment point of view, and also for you, it kicks the can down the road. One more race. We're going to the Japanese Grand Prix with Mikkel at 63 points and you at 58. So, what are your thoughts going into the Japanese Grand Prix?
Same as going into this race. I'm not worrying about the championship at this point. I'm just going race by race, and whatever happens, happens.
Taking it one race at a time is always a good plan, regardless of where you sit in the championship. But anyway, fantastic result, great drive, and way to keep your cool as well after that incident. But tell us about the start too, because it looked like you and Pascal had a really good scrap going, at least initially, and then it looked like he backed off a bit.
Well, I got a decent enough launch once the Renault power could kick in. I overshot the braking point, I think, a little bit into turn one, so that wasn't ideal. But yeah, I think once I got past him, I think I just had a slightly better race setup. Thanks to the guys who helped me with that this week as well.
Any questions for our winner, Alberto?
Well, basically, watching your driving, it seems that you were quite comfortable with the car. Everything looked fine. You had great pace, but was just wanting to ask you about the tires. Even if there didn't seem to be a lot of wear or problems for you, but what kind of tires did you choose, and were you happy with what you got from them?
I had hard tires on the front, mediums on the rear. I didn't have any problems with them through the race. First 10 laps, the front's got a little warm, but once the fuel burned away, I didn't have any problems at all. I could have probably gone for mediums on the front as well if I really needed it, but I felt I had enough pace to stick with hards.
All right.
We're joined now by the second place finisher in the Spanish Grand Prix, Gabriel Del Piccolo. Gabriel, good job. Tell us about your race. Interesting scrap early on between you and David Jakes, but then you seemed to get the upper hand later on.
Probably my car was fastest on the straight, so I keep him, and I know that my car was some time faster than David Jakes, and he took the slipstream from me, and then he wanted to pass, but our speed was similar, 290, I suppose, and then I blocked him on the first turn. So today I did a shitty start. Incredible how the first gear and the rear slide all around, and then after that I tried to push as an animal, and with all my energy, with all my, I was absolutely angry. So that was a track that I want to win, but Dave was on the first part a bit too fast for me probably, and sometimes track markers play the role that I don't want to explain.
Fair enough. We're also joined by Jonathan Asserclint, who finished 8th, I believe, in the final total. You provided a bit of fireworks at the end there, Jonathan, with the spin. But good to see you come home in the top 10 for Lotus.
Yeah, really happy for the team and for the guys that helped me out. Was a very interesting race. Opening part of the race, I was battling with Juha. Juha was a lot quicker down the straight with that V12, but my Lotus is very nimble, let's say that. So we had a good dice, and then unfortunately we had a bit of a moment with a lapped car, and Juha dropped back. A bit of a lonely mid-race, and then after my pit stop, all hell broke loose with Alberto Jr. and Adam. Really happy you caught that in the end, I suppose. A bit disappointed with the spin, but I thought there were one more lap after that, so that's why I was pushing so hard to try and catch back up to Adam and have a little go for 7th.
You and me both lost track a little bit, but made for a good slow-mo shot. So yeah, it was a very entertaining race, a thrill a minute practically. We were having a hard time finding a spot to do the trivia question. So so yeah, some of you have already talked about Japan going into that. Just a general question to all of you: how much did aerodynamics and washout play into this race?
Certainly through the middle sector. The washout can be quite bad if you're too close to the car in front.
Yeah, I can certainly.
In the last part of the track, T3, the washout was absolutely work massively.
Mm-hmm. What about brake wear?
A lot less than what I had expected and calculated for. So a bit surprised actually with how hard I was driving, but didn't really use as much brake as I thought.
I didn't feel any problems with the Williams, but I didn't look at the final numbers at the end of the race, so I don't know how close to they were running.
Not
Well-
the hardest race for the brake wear. Not the hardest. One of the with less consumption of discs.
Well, having seen this race, I'm really excited to see the Japanese Grand Prix next. I mean, first of all, the championship is a lot closer, so there's a lot more to play for, obviously. But the other thing to consider is, I mean, Suzuka is such an equalizer of a track. It's a track that demands a lot of skill from everybody, but it's a track where you have to be on your A game all the time. You can't rest. And I think, given what we've seen today in this race, I think it's going to be really exciting. Any thoughts from you guys on how to tackle Suzuka setup-wise going forward?
The setup, I would assume, will be quite similar to here because you have so many fast corners, especially the opening sector there will really test the aerodynamics. But obviously, then you have a few very long straights, so a bit more of a compromise than here maybe. But yeah.
I have a request for those of you who are going to be in the race. Will you please wave hello to my niece and nephew and my brother and my sister-in-law, who I cannot visit this Christmas, which really annoys me. But man, I wish I could be in Japan in December. But that's my deal. Anyway, thanks very much for the post-race comments. Alberto, as always, thank you for the expert color commentary. Appreciate it very much. And thanks to all of you for watching at home. We're glad we could bring you this race. And we'll see you for the next round. I don't believe we have anything between now and November 8th, do we, Alberto?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, well, it'll be a good chance for people to catch their breath and maybe do a little early Christmas shopping. So in any case, thanks very much to everybody for watching. We'll see you next time here at ISO. Have a good week, and please be safe. Good night, everybody.